the fate of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who now we know for certain was murdered in the consulate of Saudi Arabia in Istanbul. And I will try and be thorough in my assessment of what happened. First of all, I would like to honor the memory of the late Jamal Khashoggi. May his soul rest in peace. And I extend my condolences to his fiancée, to his family, to his friends, to the people of Saudi Arabia, of which he was a citizen, and to the media world in general. Now, let's do a refresh of our memory, if you will, as regards what has happened. Jamal Khashoggi, for the first time, on 28th of September, Friday, at 11:50, goes into the chief consulate of Saudi Arabia in Istanbul for marriage related reasons. And it is now understood that this visit of Khashoggi was actually the information was given to the team that planned and executed the murder of the journalist. So that was the beginning of that planning phase. And some consulate officials actually left for their countries in a haste, and this points in the direction that some preparation work was indeed done. On October 1st at 16:30, a day before the operation, Monday that is, at 4:30 in the afternoon, a team of 3 comes to Istanbul through a scheduled flight, a commercial flight. They go to a hotel first and then to the consulate. So, in the meantime, another team of people from the consulate go on an exploration mission to the Belgrade forest and to the city of Yalova. On the 2nd of October at 1:45 a.m., a team of 3 people again took a scheduled flight to Istanbul and went to their hotel. A third team of 9 people, including generals, took a private plane, landed at the airport, and went to another hotel for the night. So overall, the team we're looking at is a total of 15 people. And this team of people, from 9:50 to 11 a.m., they come in different groups to the consulate and meet there. The first thing they do is to remove the hard disk in the camera system of the consulate. And in the meantime, Jamal Khashoggi was telephoned at 11:50 to confirm his appointment on that day. On the same day, at early hours, Khashoggi comes from London to Istanbul and enters on foot into the consular building at 13:08. The fiancé was with him at that point in time, and after that point in time, no information was obtained from him, no news of him came out. At 17:15 that day, in the evening hours, the fiancé, Mr. Khashoggi's fiancé, resorts to the official authorities of our country, telling the authorities that Mr. Khashoggi was being held at the consular building against his will and that something bad might have happened to him. Upon which the relevant units of the Director General of the Turkish National Police in Istanbul start the investigation. They have a look at the security cameras, examine the footage, and it becomes certain at that point in time that Mr. Khashoggi indeed did not leave the consular building. And of course, as per the Vienna Convention, they have diplomatic immunity, but of course now that's also being discussed. Ms. Mogherini also made a statement about this point, so this Vienna Convention will probably need to be discussed and revised. So, due to this diplomatic immunity, initially no concrete step was taken vis-à-vis the building and the officials of the consulate. So the Turkish National Police and our intelligence start looking into the matter in depth, and the office of the Istanbul Chief Public Prosecutor appoints an acting prosecutor, and they initiate the investigation. Of course, as more in-depth information is collected, things start getting interesting. First of all, starting from the day prior to the day of the murder, different planes were taken by a total of 15 Saudi safety, intelligence and forensics experts who came to our country. 6 of this team leave on October 2nd at 1820. 7 of them leave on the same day at 22:50, taking private planes. And also another person who was given the impression or the look of Mr. Jamal Khashoggi with his outfit, with his glasses and the beard. This individual and the individual accompanying him also took a scheduled flight after midnight to Riyadh. And on the day of the incident, the personnel working at the consulate and the residents were gathered together, and the explanation given to them was that there was an inspection going on. Then they were they were let go that day. They were asked to leave. So the administration of Saudi Arabia first rejected the claims on October 4th that Khashoggi was killed, and the chief consulate officer actually invites on October 6th a correspondent of Reuters inside the consular building, and he opens and closes doors of cupboards, the utility panes, and different areas of the consular office. But of course, that was done in a manner that was far from being serious. But in the meantime, our national police, our intelligence services, our prosecution services continue to concentrate on their investigations to obtain new information and documentation. And our Ministry of Foreign Affairs also was in constant communication with their counterparts to discuss the issue and to share information. On October 11, there was a group of special representatives who came to our country from Saudi Arabia, and different contacts were made with them. And of course, after the matter being kept on the agenda by our community, by our press community, by the global media focusing on this issue, the consular services allowed the consular premises to be searched. Of course, dear friends, we have to ask certain questions and find answers to these questions, because this incident happened in Istanbul, and we have, as a result, responsibility. So we, as people of responsibility, we have the right to ask these questions. As things start to clarify, of course, other countries started taking action. And at every opportunity, of course, we've made it clear that we will not remain silent in the face of this murder, and that we will take every step required by our conscience and by the law. On top of that, of course, we had to wait for the end of the examinations and the investigations so that we would not falsely incriminate anyone. His Excellency, the King of Saudi Arabia, Salman bin Abdulaziz, the custodian of the 2 holy mosques, we had a phone conversation with him for the first time on the 14th of October, and I explained to him the present situation in light of the information we had at that point in time. And during this telephone conversation, I actually explained to him the talks we had with the special delegation of representatives he had previously sent, and I informed him of our joint decision to have a joint investigative group, and we had an agreement on the fact that this would be the path to follow. Upon the instructions of the king, teams from the prosecution service and from our Turkish National Police went into the consular premises and did some examination. Of course, before that, it was not allowed by the consular officials. And when that first team of representatives came and talked to me, I explained certain things to this team of representatives as to how insufficient and incompetent this the consul was, and I conveyed the same message to His Excellency the King as well. So after that conversation, the following day, the Consul General was removed from his position. In the meantime, the Consul General, while he was in Istanbul, had to go back to his country. He left. So there was another round of examinations in the consular premises on the 18th of October. On the 19th of October, that is to say 17 days after the murder, the Saudi administration officially admitted that Jamal Khashoggi was murdered inside the consular premises, inside the consular building. In the statement from the administration, it was mentioned that Khashoggi died during a brawl that erupted in the building. On the same day, in later hours of the day, I had another phone conversation with the king, Salman bin Abdulaziz. He told me that after the acknowledgement of the murder, 18 people who were implicated were arrested. That was the information he provided to me. And the individuals on the list that was provided to our country, well, we found out that they were the same names as determined by our security and national intelligence services. So this team of 15 people plus 3 others. These 3 others were already consular officials. So, of course, this development is important in the sense that the murder was officially acknowledged and accepted. On the 21st of October, I had a comprehensive phone conversation with President Trump of the United States of America. And we had an agreement that the incident needs to be clarified in all of its aspects. Of course, as the government of Turkey, as the state of Turkey, we have handled this whole process in compliance with the seriousness of these state matters and affairs, international law and the legislation of our country. Despite this being the case, of course, certain media outlets conducted a campaign in order to blame our country and implicate our country and to shift focus, shift the attention of the people. And we know full well who was behind this campaign and what their purpose was. Of course, these attempts to assassinate the nature of seriousness that our country has shown has not kept us from fully investigating what has happened. Well, before everything, this murder, yes, was indeed committed in the Saudi consular building, which is considered as Saudi soil. But one must not forget that that area is within the boundaries of the Republic of Turkey. Also, the Vienna Convention and other rules of international law do not allow the investigation of such a vicious murder to be prevented by resorting to the shield of diplomatic immunity. Of course, we will investigate this murder which was committed inside our country in all of its aspects. We will look into it and we will do whatever is necessary. On the other hand, of course, Jamal Khashoggi was a Saudi national, but on top of that, he was a world-renowned journalist. And this, of course, gives us an international responsibility. On top of her own sovereignty rights, Turkey will be persistent in the follow-up of this incident on behalf of the international community and as a representative of the joint conscience of mankind. The information and the evidence that we have so far collected indicate that Jamal Khashoggi was slain in a vicious, violent murder. Whitewashing such barbarity will, of course, injure and wound the conscience of all humanity. And we are, of course, looking forward to the same sensitivity being demonstrated by the administration of Saudi Arabia and all other parties to this affair. Dear friends, the Saudi Arabian administration took an important step by acknowledging and admitting the murder. And now our expectation from them going forward is that all those responsible from the highest degree, highest level to the lowest level will be highlighted, will be brought to justice and will get the punishment they deserve. And there are indeed strong signs that the incident was not a momentary issue or a momentary result of something that erupted on site, but rather the result of a planned operation. And of course, in light of the existing information, the following questions still are relevant. So all 15 people who have backgrounds that are in one way or another connected to what happened or what was planned, why was this team of people assembled in Istanbul on that day, on the day of the murder? Who gave the instruction to these individuals to come to Istanbul? We're looking for an answer to this question as well. Why was the consular premises not opened to examinations on that day or the following day, but many days later? We need an answer to this. Now, as it is now clear, of course, there was a murder, and it was clear from the beginning. Then why was there a slurry of incoherent statements? And now there is official acknowledgement that there was a murder. Where is the body? Why do we still not have the body? If the information that the body was given to a local cooperator, co-conspirator, and this is information by an authority, by the way. Now my question is, who is this local co-conspirator? Because it's not an ordinary person mentioning this local co-conspirator, it is a person of authority from Saudi Arabia who made that statement. So you have to reveal the identity of this local co-conspirator. You will do this. Before these questions are answered, no one should have the faintest idea that what happened will be covered up. So, there is, of course, some additional information that is now being assessed by our security and intelligence services, but of course that information also points to the fact that the incident was pre-planned, premeditated. As the examination of these bits of pieces of information is complete, it will, of course, make its way into the official investigation filed by the prosecution services. Of course, we cannot put the blame on a number of security or intelligence officials for such an incident. It will not satisfy either us or the international community. And the international conscience will only be satisfied when everyone is held accountable, the executors and the persons or the people who gave the instruction. Personally, I do not doubt the sincerity of His Excellency, the King Salman bin Abdulaziz, custodian of the two holy mosques. However, it is very, very important that there is a truly impartial and just delegation that does the investigation, looking into what has happened. And since this is a political murder, if there are other people or circles implicated in other countries, they have to be included in that investigation as well. This is the requirement of international law, Islamic law, and I also believe that a requirement of the law of the land of Saudi Arabia. As Turkey, we will continue to follow up on this matter, and whatever is required by our own laws and international law, we will make sure that those steps are taken. Also, let me make a call here today. Here's the call. This is a call to His Excellency, the King of Saudi Arabia, Salman bin Abdulaziz, custodian of the two holy mosques, and, of course, the senior officials of the administration. Now, this incident took place in Istanbul. Therefore, this team of 15 plus 3, 18 people, their trials, I'm proposing that their trials be held in Istanbul. Of course, it's their prerogative, it's their appreciation, but this is my recommendation, this is my suggestion, because this is where the incident happened.